Hi everyone, and welcome to our last live of StitchFEST. I'm both super excited to be here and a little bit sad that StitchFEST is ending for another StitchFEST. It's always super great to be here weekly and to be chatting with you all, but don't fear, it is an action-packed last live stream for us. We have so much to chat about today. And I want to give a big shout out because there's already some people in the chat. So thank you all for joining in. Don't forget, now's your chance to ask the questions. So join in the chat, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. Ask all your questions. The mods are there to help answer questions as well. So if I miss your question during the live, the mods can certainly help you out there as well. And thank you, as always, to our mods who are diligently helping out and getting everything ready. So, like I said, it is our last week of StitchFEST. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, and I did notice that we have a new Sue coming in from Canada, and it's their first time here. So welcome, Sue. Thank you so much for coming in. And so for anyone who is their first time here, hi, my name is Susan, and I am coming at you from the Wilcom Studios here in Sydney, Australia. And we are here for StitchFEST. So all through StitchFEST, we have live streams each week. We have a whole bunch of different things happening. But one of the big things we have happening is there are a lot of discounts and things on offer for all of you. Now, if you haven't taken advantage of the sale yet, to either buy a pack or a bundle or get some fonts or any of the extra things, or maybe buy Hatch for the first time, be sure to grab them before they go. Once StitchFEST is done, the sale goes away and we don't want you to miss out. So if there's anything you're on the fence about or you need a little bit more information about, definitely ask in the chat today because the team is there to help you out with all things about pricing and extra questions on things like that. So definitely ask away. One thing I will say, if you're a little concerned about pricing, log into the Hatch website from whichever country you are in, and then you are going to see that in your currency, which makes it way easier to actually understand. All right, so before I launch into everything we're going to talk about, I'm going to have a little look at the chat and see who is here. I am going to give a shout out to Lindy, who has joined the chat. You will be hearing a lot from Lindy today. Lindy is one of our team who works with us on the Hatch Academy, and she has done amazing work alongside Kim to have a new course for us to all talk about today. So I'll chat about that one in a moment, but hi, Lindy. Thanks so much for joining us as well. We have another Sue in from the Yarra Valley here in Australia. I recognise Sue's name. She's often a regular here. We've got Sharon coming in from Ontario in Canada. I noticed Terry was coming in from the Netherlands as well. Terry's one of our regulars and always pops in. And I always appreciate it because I know it is a crazy time of the night for them. I was going to say morning. It's late for them. So I'm always very appreciative that Terry has turned up as well. We've got Amy coming in from the Western Australia state. I'm going to say Western Australia, but they also might be in the States. So I'm sorry if I've just allocated you to the wrong hemisphere there. We've got Yolanda in from Florida. We've also got Pamela in for the first time from Charlotte. Welcome. I hope you're having a great day as well. And Mike is asking, can we do a deal on the fonts for him because he's got everything else? Have a look at the fonts, Mike. We definitely covered them a few weeks ago on one of our live streams. There's lots of great stuff in there for you as well. And Ray is just in from Columbus, Ohio as well. And he's looking to do some extra things as well. The chat's moving quite quickly, so I'm trying to keep up as well. And Amy, I'm sorry, I've given you Western Australia. You're actually Washington State. I have a feeling the weather of those two states would be vastly different there as well. Mike's also in from Washington State as well. I'm sorry if I've missed anyone. I'm sure I have. The chat's moving quite quickly. So I will scroll back and grab some other people as well. So Sue is asking, how often do we have these sales? So in particular, the sale that is on currently, you only get the big discounts a few times of the year. So if you want to buy, I would suggest buying now because you might have to wait a long time before you get the next big discount. So obviously, budgeting is all a thing, but if you want to take advantage of the biggest sale prices, now is definitely one of those times to do that as well. All right. And we've also got Karen coming in from St. Augustine in Florida as well, another regular. So thanks so much for joining us. Today we have a brand new course to talk about. So for all of you lucky people who've either just bought Hatch or have upgraded to Hatch 4, you might have noticed you now have the Advanced Applique Tools. These are amazing and really expand the capabilities of what you can do with applique. I've been working my way through all of the things and I'm super excited. And I actually said to Kim this morning, I can't wait for it to be my weekend because I really just want to play and just see what I can create. So it's definitely one of those things that's going to spark a lot of ideas. So we're going to talk about that today, but I thought some of us may have not done any kind of applique. So I've included some things for you if you have just started your digitizing journey or just started your machine embroidery journey and you haven't got to applique yet. So we're going to try and cover lots of things today. Like I said, keep asking your questions in the chat and we will get to them, as many of them as we possibly can. All right, so before we jump to our first video, I'm going to say hi to Cheryl coming in from Caledonia in Michigan. I'm just going to see if I can scroll back up in the chat and see who else I missed, because I know I definitely missed some people. If you're new here, please jump into the chat, say hi. We love hearing where you are coming from. And you can see how terrible my geography is when I'm trying to figure out which hemisphere someone is in. We've got Sherry coming in from Colorado. Hello again to Lindy, your name's popped up. Gail, one of our regulars from sunny South Australia, is in. I'm so glad you've got sun. We have yet to get rain here in Sydney as well. Now, Lindy was asking in the chat who's been checking out the Advanced Applique, and Cherie has said she's already been checking it out. So we might grab a little bit more information from them in a little bit. And Nerily, another one of our regulars, is in as well. And Gigi Becky's coming in from a hot and humid Texas. I bet it is pretty warm for you guys at this time as well. And we've got Sandra coming in from Central Texas as well. I think I've got everyone. Oh, no, we've got Elise coming in from Naples in Florida as well. Thank you so much for joining us all. Like I said, keep asking all of your questions inside of the chat and we're here to help. So what we're going to start with is we're going to take a look at the overview of the new Advanced Applique Essentials course. So like so many things inside of Hatch, there is a lot of components to any new tool that comes in. So this one, the course is really great. It's broken down to make it very easy for you to come at in different sections. So we're going to go through some of those today, but let's take a look at the overview to start with.
Imagine creating complex multi-piece applique designs from objects in a fraction of the time. Traditional applique works great for simple shapes, but as designs become more detailed, managing multiple fabric pieces and sequencing can quickly become challenging. Advanced Applique was designed specifically for these more complex designs. Using existing embroidery objects, Advanced Applique automatically identifies where applique areas are and converts them into fabric patches. Choose exactly which areas become applique, merge sections together, or keep them separate for creative control. Even detailed designs with multiple sections can be transformed into applique while preserving important design elements. Try different fabrics, adjust colors, and continue refining your applique long after it has been created. Fine-tune placement lines, tack down stitches, and applique properties to match your preferred workflow. Because the applique remains an editable object, you can return and make changes whenever you need to. And when advanced sequencing is required, learn how Break Apart gives you complete control over stitch order and layering.
So you can see there is tons that you can do with the Advanced Applique Tools. And it's really a matter of making your way through it. And also, if you have an adorable design like the little seahorse that you just saw, that one was done by one of our in-house graphics people. So shout out to Matt for his super cute kawaii designs. They're perfect for this type of thing. And you can see that there's lots of them being demonstrated throughout the course as well. So one of the things with the Advanced Applique Tools is it really is an advance on the regular applique tools. So if you've never done applique before, it's always a good idea to kind of take yourself back and maybe go through some of those ones to begin with. So there's a couple of things in there that we want to kind of have a look at. So before I jump to the next video, which is going to take you through some of the sort of basics of regular applique, we're going to just have a little bit of a look at the chat. So Sue asked earlier, how often do we have sales? Now, the mods have dropped in. If you ever want to know about when sales are coming up, when our live streams are coming up, maybe challenges or different things that you want to know about, maybe small business or different things to do with all of the Hatch world, the best way to stay in touch is to actually join our Hatch newsletter. So the links are in the chat there for you. So scroll down to the bottom of the page with the link in there and add your name to the newsletter. So it's a really great way to sort of get in front, know when everything is happening. That's a really fantastic way. Also, you can follow us on any of our social channels as well. All right, so while the video was on, there was also a couple of extra people. We're going to say hi to Ms. Sugi who is one of our favorites from TikTok. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining us in today as well. And Sharon has joined us in from Hartford today as well. Now, Alicia is asking, is the upgrade price is going to change after the promotion? So the upgrade price, so if you're going from Hatch 3 to Hatch 4, stays the same. If you are a brand new to Hatch person, though, that price will change. And some of the power packs and other pack kind of deals, those prices will change. So if you're looking to do an upgrade, but you'd like to get some of the other functionality with inside of Hatch 2, definitely check out the packs as well, because when you buy with the packs, you can kind of bundle everything together and it makes it a little bit more economical for you and you kind of have everything at your fingertips. So definitely take a look. If you've got some extra questions, again, ask in the chat and the team's ready there to help as well. All right. So Susan St. James saying she has weather warning. So take care if you are in Chicago. Be very careful. I hope your weather is going to be okay for you as well. Now, she's actually asked can we add our own fabric swatches? Yes, you can add your own fabric swatches as well. There are also a whole bunch of built-in fabric swatches with inside of Hatch. So if you're just looking for like a pink or a blue or like a color or some like mottled effects, those ones are built into Hatch, but you can also add your own as well. And yeah, so Lindy's also answered that one for me as well. And I'm going to say hi to Heather from Gumdale in Queensland. And I think I've got everyone else coming in. Oh, no, I've got another Susan joining in from New York. And Brendan, our Chief Product Officer of Fulcom, has just joined the chat as well. So thank you so much to Brendan. Just wanted to give a little shout out to Brendan. If you're one of our Hatch user group members on our Facebook group, someone dropped into the chat inside of the user group the other day, a really beautiful kind of multi-blended color design. And they were like, oh, how do I do this? Brendan was actually super great, jumped in and made a little video about how to actually use the new multi-blend tool in Hatch 4 for that. So if you're keen to know how to use multi-blend in a very kind of considered way that like applies to exactly to a logo, definitely jump onto the user group there and check out that video. It was really great. I loved having a watch of that one because it was just like such a functional way to use that tool. So definitely check that one out as well. And we've got Barbara joining us in from Oklahoma too. All right, so now that we've got lots of people in the chat and we love having you all there, let's take a look at another section of the Advanced Applique Essentials course. And what we're going to take a look at is what happens if we haven't done applique before? Where are we going to start from? So we're going to take a little bit of a look at where we can start with.
Before learning the new Advanced Applique feature in Hatch 4, it's important to understand how applique works in Hatch and review the existing applique tools. Understanding these basics first will make the Advanced Applique workflow easier to understand in the next few lessons. Now, if you've digitized appliques using more manual methods, you may be missing out on some special features and properties included when using the applique tools in the applique toolbox. For example, this heart on the left is composed of 4 different objects. They were all manually digitized. I created a heart first with a run stitch so I know where to place my fabric, another run stitch to tack it down if I'm using a trim in place, and then another zigzag stitch to finish off the edges, and then my final cover stitch. Here we have the same heart. These two are going to sew the same way, by the way. But this is an applique object, and when I click on it, I can see all the applique settings over here. I can apply a fabric, I can change any properties. If I reshape it, everything reshapes at once. That's not going to happen with a manual applique. These special objects in Hatch are called compound objects. Now, if that's a new term to you, if you've used the monogramming or lettering tools in Hatch, you've already worked with compound objects. If you've never stitched a machine embroidered applique design before, let's see how those various stitches work. First, the placement line can be used either to accurately place a pre-cut applique or as a reference for placing a larger piece of fabric, which will then be stitched down and carefully trimmed away without unhooping the project. This latter method is called the trim and place method. With this method, it essentially repeats the placement line to attach the fabric. Then you remove the hoop from the machine and carefully trim back the fabric to the stitching line. The next step, in either case, is the tack down stitch. The final step is the cover stitch. For most appliques, this is a satin, but it doesn't have to be. Obviously, to perform these steps, the machine will need to stop at critical points. Home machines do this with color changes. Multi-needle machines may use stop commands. The point is, we want the machine to stop automatically at just the right point. The tools in the applique toolbox will automatically create and group these applique components into one applique object, and that makes them easier to manage. There are 4 tools for creating appliques: Convert to Applique and Advanced Applique. Notice that they're in a box together, and then another 2 appliques in another little box together: Digitize Applique and Digitize Applique with holes. Why are there so many tools? There are different ways you'll create appliques. You might create the object while digitizing. You need to create an applique that has holes in it. And if you have an existing object that you want to convert to applique, then you'll use the Convert to Applique tools. Let's have a quick look at each one. And I'll click Digitize Applique. This tool works just like the Digitize Close Shape tool. Then click Enter to close. Appliques have to be a closed shape. I'll escape the tool, I'll select my object, and you can see all my settings over here on the Applique Docker. This Applique Docker controls the settings of an applique created with either of these 2 tools: Digitize Applique with holes, and Convert to Applique. We have a different Docker for Advanced Applique. Now, what if you need an applique with holes in it? Well, we're going to use another tool. Make another kind of star shape here. And notice down here on the status bar, it tells us to digitize the points for our next shape, for our hole. And when I'm done, I just press Enter, and now I have another object. Notice that both of these are single applique objects. Look at the colors on the sequence docker. We can see each one is composed of 3 colors. So that is not a separate other applique. And we can see that it's a hole because if I apply fabric or a color, let's just apply a color, you can see it's only putting my fabric out here and it's leaving that open. Now what about Convert to Applique? Convert to Applique converts a closed shape into an applique. I've opened up this fish outline design from the new Outlines designs in Hatch 4. I'll select it and click Convert to Applique. Instant Applique. And you can see there we have our 3 parts. Now what if we want a hole in it? Well, we can do that too. Here I have another shape from our new shapes, and I've cut a hole in it. Notice that this time I have a fill. All I need is a closed shape. And if I have a closed shape that's a filled and a hole in it, then I can convert that to a single applique. Just like that. Now the advantage of the applique object over manual applique, well, one is you can have one object to edit, but Hatch sees this as an applique object and it can see the cutting line. So if you're wondering, how do I get those precise pre-cuts? We'll use our applique object. We'll go to the Output Design toolbox, and you can do Export Cutting. This will create an SVG file that you can cut on your cutter or by hand, and you can also print the patterns on your worksheet. Now, if you break apart your applique object, you no longer have an applique object, and so you'll lose those special properties. Now, our new tool in Hatch 4 is Advanced Applique. And in the next few lessons, you'll learn how Advanced Applique expands on the Convert to Applique workflow and supports open objects and more stitch types for the cover stitches to allow you to create more complex applique structures and shapes. Now, if you're new to machine embroidered applique, there are additional Hatch Academy lessons that cover the basics in greater detail, and I've linked them in the lesson. Applique is an important skill to have in your tool belt. Applique techniques are useful for patches, key fobs, in-the-hoop projects, decorative texture effects, and pattern fabric applications. Look how cute these designs are because of the fabrics I've used in them.
So as you can see, there's so much that you can actually do with just even the regular applique. And if you haven't done any applique at all, I would definitely do what is shown there in the course, where you start with like one of the new shapes and then start using the Convert to Applique tools. It really kind of gets your head around the layering that it takes to do an applique, because we're dealing with now multiple layers of fabric, there's different ways we're going to adhere and attach that as well. So I think if you can kind of get your head around how the layering works, it actually makes your whole applique kind of system work out really, really well. And for those of you, like, we can always see like there's a lot of applique applications in terms of like things for garments and quilting and stuff like that. But also if you're running a small business, every applique you do can cover quite large space, but every time you replace stitches with fabric, that's way less stitches you actually have to stitch out, which actually makes you a little bit faster, takes less stitch count, and it means that you can actually do jobs a little bit faster as well. So if you're kind of like, mostly using your Hatch for small business and you're like, oh, applique's not really for me, start to think about how else you could use it, because it's not just a one type of thing. It can apply to many different types of things. And I know we have lots of people who make patches and badges, because we're always getting those questions in the Hatch user group on Facebook. Now, I love using my applique tools for those, because it means instead of having to fill the entire background of a patch with stitches and trying to get them to sit super flat and then put all my lettering or my designs on top, I can actually just make the back of the patch an applique, which means I can apply it to any color. It takes way less time to stitch out. It's less dense and it makes a great patch. So kind of think about all the different ways that you can use applique, and we're going to love seeing how you all come up with extra ideas as well. So that's really fantastic as well. And Lindy's saying in the chat that don't forget, you can also play with like fabrics and textures and all of the thread types as well. So there's lots of component things that you can go into doing with applique. And it's one of those things that once you start sort of thinking about it, when you go shopping next, you're going to see applique on so many things that you never would have noticed before, because your brain just wasn't like sort of thinking of that. But next time there's going to be heaps in there as well. So Amy has now asked a really great question, because I have a video to answer that one. So Amy's asked just what is the best video series to learn about just regular applique. So as mentioned in that video with Lindy, there was she said, look, there's a whole bunch of things. I'm going to add the links in the class. The links are in the class, but I actually created a video for you to show you how to navigate from the homepage of the Hatch Academy to get there. So let's take a look at that navigation. So we're going to start out on our homepage. As you can see, I am logged in because my name is up the top. Logging in is a very important part of getting through to the Hatch Academy. And you can see some of the toolbars across the top with the drop-down menus that we discussed in last week's live. Once I go to all courses, you can see the lovely new multi-blend course there, as well as all of the new Getting Started with Hatch 4. I'm going to come down on the side and you can see that there are some categories. I'm going to click on applique, and we have actually bundled all of those applique courses together for you to look at them. And what it is some of them you'll find have like some amount of applique, some have a large amount of applique, but they're a really great way to get yourself sort of started. So there's 2 patch ones in there. So if you just want to make patches, I would definitely start with those. If you wanted to maybe try something a little bit different with your applique, you could also look about how to create your own shapes, which is the lovely design. You can see a bunny on the front of it there. And there's some other ones there, like home is where the heart is. And what it's going to do is it's actually going to show you how to combine your applique with lettering and different things like that. So there's a whole bunch of different lessons in there, as well as the new Advanced Essentials course as well. So there's a lot of things in there as well. All right, the chat's got some questions about applique, so I'm going to try and answer as many as I can. So I think it was narrowly asked earlier, can you add your own fabrics to Hatch so you could display it in your own ones? Yes, you can, and that is covered in the Hatch user book as well. One thing I would suggest, if you're going to fussy cut, so fussy cutting we quite often do if we're doing our quilting or things like that, and we'll have like a central logo of like a dog or a cat, and we want to place that directly in the center. When we put them into Hatch, they actually go in as tiles. So just make sure that when you take your photo in order to load it in, that you do kind of place your image central to how you want it to look in your applique, only because it's going to make your life so much easier when it actually comes to placing that in as well. All right, I think I've got to get some more in there as well. Brendan's asking for our Wilcom team applique hoodies for the winter time, because it's winter here in Australia. So we'll have to chat about that one later on as well. Susan St. James is asking about, do you add something to the back of the fabric so it doesn't unravel? You don't have to, but if you don't, you're going to set yourself up for a world of trouble. My favorite to use is a double-sided interfacing. And what you do is you iron it to the back side of your actual applique, and then you can peel away a paper backing. When you place it down after you've done your run stitch to begin with, you can actually iron it into position. I love that one. That's the technique I used on the dress that I am wearing. I'm actually even super sneaky. And if you've got one of these and you've never wondered how to use it, you can buy tiny little irons, because most people have like a regular size iron. I actually have a quilting iron. It's the size of my palm. You can buy them at any quilting shops, and I'm sure like, Amazon or anyone like that would have it. But mine is fantastic because it fits inside my hoop. I don't even have to unhoop to actually iron my applique interfacing into position. So a tiny iron, while not essential, does make your life so much easier because you don't have to unhoop or worry about floating so you can get your iron in there. So tiny iron, lifesaver, but interfacing is definitely a backing. If you don't have the double-sided applique interfacing, a regular lightweight interfacing, so an iron-on interfacing, so not a stabilizer, but a regular garment style one, works perfectly. It adds a little bit more structure, it stops the movement as much, and it helps everything be a little bit more stable in there as well. One of the reasons I like using the double-sided one, which you actually iron into position, is I really dislike using spray on glue on my machines. So my own machine at home is a combo machine. So I swap it out between being a regular sewing machine back to an embroidery machine. The regular sewing part of my machine hates having anything sticky going near it. So just in terms of keeping my machine as clean and working as well as possible, I dislike using any of the spray adhesives on my own personal machine. Here at work, we have many different kinds of machines. We do use the spray adhesives. One thing we always do is we also make sure we never spray the adhesive near the machine. We actually have a little, like literally a piece of rubbish cardboard box that we will put the thing into and spray so that the spray is contained, so it's not going up and getting caught into like our threads or our machines or our stabilizers. So if you are using a spray on glue, do try and keep it contained. It's just so much better for all of your equipment as well. All right. I'm just trying to see. There's a lot of questions happening and I'm trying to get them. Okay, so Amy's asking about interfacing information. The biggest problem is different interfacings are called different things around the world. Even the same brand. So like I know in the US, for say, you have a brand named Pellon. When that comes to Australia, it's not always called Pellon. So it's very hard to say, get this brand, because that brand may not be available to you. I would say a double-sided applique interfacing is sort of widely available at most places and most embroidery supply stores. So that one is definitely a good one. If you can't, you could go to any fabric store and ask for a lightweight iron-on or fusible interfacing, and that would work for you as well. If you're, say, doing hoodies, as Brendan mentioned, and you wish to put on like fleece on top of fleece, fleece fabric is a knit fabric. It reacts a little bit differently than some of our lovely woven sort of quilting cottons that we often use for applique. If you fuse them, it actually helps them move less as well, which is much better for your stitching. So keep that in mind as well. All right. I'm just making sure that I've got all of the actual questions go through as well. I think I've got everything. And Lindy's been in there answering questions on YouTube as well. So if I've missed one and you've got something burning, jump across to YouTube if you're on Facebook. And Lindy's definitely in there helping out people. Thank you so much, Lindy. Lindy's actually giving brand names of things that you can find in the USA. So if you are in the United States of America and you do wish to have a particular brand name, you could also jump in there because she has the names of those ones as well. All right. All right, so the team has just dropped in to the chat as well in response to Amy. So that navigation I just showed you, we went from the Hatch Academy main website. We then logged in and we went to all courses. And then in the left-hand side, we actually ticked the little box which said Applique, which then brought you down all of the Applique courses as well. So the team has just dropped that link in there for Amy as well, but just in case it is also there. Also, if you do that Advanced Applique Essentials course, I'm definitely going to trip over that name at some point today. The links are for all of those courses are also in the notes there for that class as well. All right. So once you've sort of got your handle onto regular applique, or maybe you're already there because maybe you've been digitizing for a while and you're into lots of different things and you've done some applique, then it's definitely time to jump in and start looking at the advanced applique tools. So I've pulled one of the lessons out so that we can have a look and see how it's all described. Now, the classes I've shown you today are part of the Advanced Applique Essentials course, but there are many video courses available inside this one with lots of extra information. So you can always go back in, log into your Hatch Academy, and all of that information is going to be there as well. All right, let's take a look at our Advanced Applique and what we can do with it.
Advanced Applique is a new applique tool that has different requirements than traditional applique. We'll start with a simple design to understand the principles in the process. So we'll cover what types of stitches and objects can be used, how your design should be organized, understanding how Advanced Applique defines patch areas, and using the tools on the Advanced Applique Docker to apply colors and fabrics. Here's a simple design. It's included with your download so you can use the same one. And if we look at it on the Sequence Docker, you can see that it's just 6 objects. If I go to the Colors tab, it's 3 colors. Now this was originally set up as a 2-color design, so we have the base, which includes each sort of little foot and a travel stitch in between, and then another travel stitch to get up to the top for an applique so I can be positioned at the top for my placement line. So I digitized this the way I normally think about applique to have the machine stop at the top of the design so I can place my fabric. And then we have our detail lines. And that was originally my 2nd color. Now it's my 3rd color. So when I'm thinking about what objects I need to include all the pieces that make up the cover stitches. And that includes any travel stitches, any specialty stitches, and here we have a motif. Here we have just satin runs. And once I have them selected, then I'll click Advanced Applique. Docker opens. Notice that it opens here on the left. I like that because then it's separate from the standard applique Docker, which is over here on the right. As I scroll around over the design, notice that different areas kind of highlight. These are our patch areas, and I need to apply a color to them. So the default color is white. I can choose a color. For example, I could do that. Or I could work with fabrics. And we'll go to Custom Fabrics. I'll pick a fabric and just apply it in there. Now I could use the same fabric here, or I could choose a different fabric. So let's pick a different fabric. Let's do this dark pink. So if this is my design, I'm going to have 2 small patches here and 1 large patch there. When I'm done, I'll just click Close. Now notice over here on the Sequence Docker, I have 1 applique object. I have a new icon, a little bunny. And if I go to the Colors tab, you can see there's the placement line, there's the tack down line, and here are my cover stitches. Let's enlarge that. And notice that we have 3 sections. That's because we have 3 patches. Notice that on our tack down stitch, We have zigzag tack downs on the two satin areas, but we have a single run for our tack down under our motif. That's so that our zigzag doesn't get exposed. Hatch knows that there's a motif there, so it doesn't put a zigzag tack down there. Now, as we inspect our design, I might be thinking, oh, I really don't want to cut two little tiny pieces for that. I just want one big piece. Let's see how to do that. So I'll open the Applique Tools. I'll go to the Merge tab. And here what I want to do is I want to select the one that I want to merge onto. Notice it has a red outline. And I'll select what I want to merge to it. Select again, merge to it. Now I have one piece. And notice how over here on the sequence docker, my object has updated. So a little tip here is if you keep your Colors tab open, you can see what's happening with your design. And if I like that, I'll click Close. And then we have our applique object and we have our details. Now, notice this. I'm just going to point this out. When we apply fabrics, they are tiled. And it happens to be that our tile is overlapping there. And if this bothers you, and I'll select all, Control A, and we'll just move it down here. And see, now you can see your fabric without the tile line in it. Let's open up our applique again. We have a couple other tools. We can remove patches. Well, let's unmerge first. So I'm going to select the patch I want to unmerge. And notice that it unmerged all the parts, not just the last merged object. And maybe I only want to have an applique in this area. I don't want to have appliques there. So I can click Remove, and I can actually just remove those patches. And even though the grid is still there, I can close this. And if we go to the Colors tab, we can see that now our applique is just one piece, and it's just that center area. As long as I keep this an applique object, our special compound objects in Hatch have special properties. So as long as I don't break this apart, I can go in and change this at any time. Now what if I decide I don't want it to be an applique at all? I'll double click it, open up the Docker, and I can click Remove All. And I need to click on this. And it's going to remove all assigned patches. And now it's back to where it was before I made it into an advanced applique. I'll click Close. And now we just have our original objects back. Now one reason you might do that is if you need to reshape any of your cover stitch parts. I'm going to undo that. Now what if you need to make changes to the applique object? The changes to the applique object itself are done through the applique docker. Now you can select it and then click Advanced Applique, or you can double click it and you'll open up this docker and make your changes just as we've been doing. Now notice there's only a close button here. There's no cancel. So if you close and you don't like it, you can just undo and it'll take you back to before you entered the Advanced Applique docker. Now what if you haven't selected the correct objects? Well, you're going to have to remove your applique and start over. What if you need to reshape? You'll need to remove all patches and reshape. You cannot reshape this as it is here. You really need to have your design fully finished. In fact, it's probably a good idea to test sew your design to make sure it's exactly what you want, and then you can apply the Advanced Applique. Remember, Advanced Applique and Convert to Applique are applied to finished designs or finished objects. Now what if it's the wrong color? To change colors, you can change a color on the colors bar. It's going to change everything that has that color, but this is the only way you can do it without removing the patch and starting over. So for example, if I want to change this foot to a different color, I need to know what color it is on the colors bar. It's color number 2. So I select color number 2, then I open the Threads docker, and I can apply a new color. I'm going to undo that. If you were to select the object and apply a color, it would apply it to all the cover stitch objects because it can't tell which ones are which. So before moving on to the next lesson where we'll look at a more detailed design, take this seashell and make sure you understand how these functions work.
It looks so exciting with all of the things that you can actually do with the Advanced Applique Tools. One of the things I'm really looking forward to is the fact that you can really easily apply different motif stitches to that outside. So you're sort of not stuck to that kind of traditional satin edging, which I do love because I love how clean it looks. But I do really like the idea of adding in some more textures. I think that would be really great. And I'm kind of thinking like if you're a quilter and you're using applique to create like in the hoop quilt pieces, that could be really fantastic because it's such a lovely way to add an extra level of dimension into your pieces there. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how people are going to use those things as well. Now, obviously, there's a lot to cover in the Advanced Applique, and there was lots in that last video of all the different pieces that you can do. So one of the things which is inside the Advanced Applique course is there is a little challenge. Now, if you've gone, oh, Advanced Applique, that's going to be my new thing, and you're going to make your way through the course, you're going to see that challenge in there. Now, be sure to sign up to the Hatch newsletter because there's going to be more information coming your way about that challenge and how you can all join in. We thought we'd give you a little bit of time to like ease into and watch the course before we launch the challenge, but I just wanted to give you like a little bit of a sneak peek to know that that is coming. So be sure to sign up to the Hatch newsletter because all of that information is coming after StitchFEST, because once StitchFEST is gone, we're just going to keep rolling with all this cool stuff that we can now do with Hatch 4 and all of the great ways that you can use it. So be sure to sign up to the newsletter. If you haven't signed up to the newsletter, the link is there in the chat for you as well. Susan St. James is asking if there's going to be a mirror edge for patches. You can actually just fake a mirror edge by creating a motif and then applying that one as well. I think that's actually one of the easiest and cleanest ways to actually fake the mirror edge because it means you can adjust it sort of slightly because it makes it look a little bit more true to what an actual mirror looks like as well. Now, one of the things I did want to point out about any applique, and including the Advanced Applique, is it is so much easier for you if you work out what size hoop and what size your artwork is going to be before you start. One of the reasons being is that you are going to have to stop your machine occasionally and actually trim away some of that fabric. Having space to actually fit your hand in with your scissors around your hoop is a really important part. And every so often you get to a bit and you're like, I just can't fit. So have a think about how big you would like your applique and then in relation to what size hoops you have to stitch out. If you can actually digitize it and set it up as an applique at the actual size you wish to stitch it, it makes your life so much easier. Of course, you can, resize and things, but I just find if you think about it beforehand and think about how you're going to get your hand in to actually cut the fabrics as well, it actually makes a really big difference to just the workflow of how you actually get through that as well. So that's definitely something I would suggest. Just try and work at actual size and know what hoop size that you are going into for that as well. All right, I think there's some extra things in the questions in the chats, so let's have a look. Gigi Becky's also asking about the mirror stitch. Like I said, just you can create it as a motif and that way you can vary it as well. It also would be if you added it as a motif edge, it would also work really great with the new rounded corners feature in Hatch 4 too. So that would be super fun as well. All right, I think that's all of the extra ones. I'm sure there's going to be extra questions, so I'm just going to leave that one for a little bit and just let people extra go through. So Oren's asking, is there extra ways to assign shortcut keys? There are some of the shortcut keys. What I would highly recommend is in your Hatch user book. I don't have the new one on me, but one second. In your user guide, there is actually an entire section, which I will never be able to find while live, but there is an entire section on where to find and how to use your shortcut keys. Because quite often people are like, oh, I don't know how to pan, and they don't know what the key function is. So what I would actually suggest is take a look at your manual, whether you have the actual printed out one or it is available directly inside of your software as well. And don't forget, you now have the Wilcom Intelligence powered AI answers built into your Hatch 4 as well. I would actually get in there and start asking what are the exact ones for the things that you use, because you'll find that there are actually tons already in there, but we're just not using them as much because they are different or we don't know about them yet. So definitely read up first, because I think there's a ton in there that you may not know about yet. Because there's heaps that, like, I'll watch, Brendan or Mai or one of the others, I'll see them doing things. I'm like, what was that key again? So it is just one of those things. If you're working across multiple programs, sometimes we just forget. So have a little bit of a look in there as well. And Lindy's actually saying, look for a utility like an auto key to add extra hotkeys as well. I think I'm right in thinking that Lindy actually works on a Mac and runs her Hatch via Parallels and then uses that for her auto keys as well. So there's quite a lot happening there in her setup, but obviously it works very well for her. So definitely have a look at that as well. Okay. I think that's most of the questions. Like I said, we got a challenge coming up for our Advanced Applique, so keep an eye out for that. Be sure to sign up to the newsletter. If you are thinking about buying anything extra, please, please, please make sure you take advantage of the StitchFEST sales. It's always heartbreaking when someone kind of messages and they're like, oh, I just didn't get around to it and I'd missed the sale. So make sure you don't miss the sale. That's always really sad for people. I always feel really bad about that. So definitely go take a look on the Hatch website. There is tons of information in there. There's obviously more information coming out for StitchFEST. For anyone who is in Australia, keep an eye on the Wilcom Embroidery Studio blog, because we've got a Vegemite Day specials coming up. As a diehard Vegemite lover, I am very much looking forward to that, and I will be putting my vote in for full tatami level of Vegemite. So definitely check that one out. It's coming up as well too. And the team has just dropped the links for the shortcuts into the chat as well. So they were much faster than I was. Because I wasn't looking for it while live. So that's always things in there as well. Cool. All right. Hopefully that answers everyone's questions about all things Advanced Applique. Definitely go check out the course. It is live now. As always, if you have extra questions and we're not doing a live, you can always drop into our Hatch user group and check it out in there. More information will be coming about our Applique Challenge. Keep an eye out in your inboxes for that one. Anytime you use Hatch, we love seeing what you use. Please tag us on as much social media as you like. We do love seeing what everyone has been up to. Susan St. James is asking for information about the Corel Draw stuff that is being worked on. There is more things coming for that as well. I think that's everything for today. Oh, and the team has just dropped a handy shortcuts ebook into the chat there too. So that's always really fantastic, because it means you can actually just print out just a few pages if you don't have the whole book, and you can work your way through it as well. So that's pretty cool. All right, everyone, have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for joining us for the entirety of StitchFEST. It has been such a joy to come to you live each week. If you enjoy our lives and like knowing about all things Hatch, keep an eye out. We will be going back to our more regularly scheduled every other week of lives, which makes it a little bit easier for my voice, because every week is a little bit tough sometimes. But we have got through it this time and it's been fantastic. Thank you all, and we will see you all again for a live very, very soon. Until then, enjoy your Advanced Applique and all things in the Hatch Academy, and enjoy using your Hatch software. All right, thank you so much.